Cyber scams are no longer a distant threat. They are here, in India, and they are growing at an alarming rate. Every day, countless Indians fall victim to these digital predators. The sophistication of these crimes is increasing. The methods are becoming more cunning. This is not just about losing money. It is about the erosion of trust in the digital systems we increasingly rely upon. We are witnessing a silent epidemic, one that quietly chips away at our financial security and our peace of mind. The numbers are stark, painting a grim picture of a nation under digital siege. The dream of a digital India is a powerful one. It promises convenience, connectivity, and progress. Yet, this very dream is being exploited by those who lurk in the shadows of the internet. As more Indians come online, many for the first time, they become potential targets. These new users are often unfamiliar with the dangers that exist in the digital world. Scammers see this as an opportunity, a vast pool of unsuspecting individuals. The rapid expansion of online services from banking to shopping creates more avenues for these criminals to strike. It is a challenge we must confront head-on. The scale of this problem is immense. It affects people from all walks of life. Students, homemakers, professionals, and even the elderly are not spared. The stories of hardship are numerous and heartbreaking. Imagine a farmer losing his savings to a fake loan scheme. Think of a student tricked into paying fees for a non-existent scholarship. These are not isolated incidents. They represent a pattern, a calculated exploitation of vulnerability. The authorities are fighting this battle, but the enemy is elusive, often operating across borders, making them difficult to apprehend. We must ask ourselves, are we doing enough? Is our society equipped to handle this onslaught? The digital revolution has brought immense benefits, but it has also opened a new frontier for crime. The promise of technology should not be overshadowed by the fear of scams. This is a critical moment for India. We need to understand the depth of this crisis, the tactics of the scammers, and most importantly, how we can protect ourselves and our fellow citizens. The fight against cyber scams is a collective responsibility. It begins with awareness and a commitment to vigilance. Cyber scams are like a hydra, the mythical beast. For every scamming technique that authorities manage to shut down, two new ones seem to spring up in its place. This rapid evolution makes these digital crimes incredibly difficult to combat effectively. Scammers are constantly innovating, adapting their methods to bypass new security measures and exploit fresh vulnerabilities. They learn from their failures and quickly refine their approaches, often sharing tactics within sophisticated criminal networks. This constant cat-and-mouse game leaves law enforcement perpetually playing catch-up. The technology itself presents a significant challenge. Scammers leverage tools like virtual private networks, encrypted communication channels, and anonymous payment methods. These technologies can be easily co-opted to mask identities and launder illicit gains. Tracing the origin of a scam often involves navigating a complex web of international jurisdictions, each with its own laws and levels of cooperation. The borderless nature of the internet means a scammer in one country can effortlessly target victims in another, making prosecution a logistical nightmare for Indian authorities. Furthermore, the sheer volume of online activity makes monitoring and detection incredibly challenging. Billions of emails, messages, and transactions occur daily. Sifting through this digital deluge requires immense resources and advanced analytical capabilities. Scammers are adept at making their fraudulent communications look remarkably genuine, often mimicking trusted brands and institutions with alarming accuracy. This makes it hard for even discerning individuals, let alone automated systems, to spot every trick. Another critical factor is the speed at which these operations can be set up and dismantled. A fraudulent website can be launched in minutes, collect victims' data or money, and then vanish without a trace. The perpetrators can switch identities, phone numbers, and digital infrastructure with relative ease. This ephemeral nature of scam operations means that by the time a scam is reported, the culprits may have already moved on, leaving a trail of victims and very few leads for law enforcement. This constant flux demands a proactive rather than reactive approach to cybersecurity. A significant reason for the alarming rise in cyber scams across India is a widespread lack of digital literacy and awareness among the general populace. As millions of Indians have embraced smartphones and internet connectivity for the first time in recent years, many have done so without a corresponding understanding of the potential pitfalls. This digital naivety creates a fertile ground for scammers. They prey on this unfamiliarity, exploiting trust and a general lack of skepticism towards unsolicited digital communications. Many people are simply not equipped to identify the subtle red flags that often accompany a scam. This vulnerability is not confined to any single demographic. While older individuals or those less familiar with technology are often cited as prime targets, even younger, tech-savvy users can fall prey to sophisticated schemes. The issue is less about age and more about a specific type of awareness, the ability to critically assess information received online. Scammers craft messages designed to evoke strong emotional responses such as fear, greed, or urgency. These emotional triggers can override rational thinking, leading people to click on malicious links or divulge sensitive information before they have a chance to properly consider the risks. The problem is compounded by the sheer diversity of India. With numerous languages and varying levels of education, creating and disseminating effective awareness campaigns that reach everyone is a monumental task. Generic warnings often fail to resonate, and scammers are quick to localize their tactics, using regional languages and cultural references to make their schemes appear more legitimate. There is a clear gap between the pace of digital adoption and the pace of digital safety education. This gap is where scammers thrive, turning the promise of digital inclusion into a pathway for exploitation for many. Furthermore, there's often a reluctance to report cybercrimes, sometimes due to embarrassment, a feeling that the lost amount is too small, or a lack of faith in the system's ability to deliver justice. This underreporting means the true scale of the problem is likely even larger than official statistics suggest. It also means that valuable data, which could help identify trends and inform preventative strategies, is lost. Without a comprehensive understanding of the threat landscape, fueled by robust reporting, it becomes even harder to educate the public effectively and build a resilient defense against these ever-evolving digital threats. Phishing remains one of the most prevalent and insidiously effective types of cyber scams plaguing India. At its core, phishing is a deceptive art form, where criminals masquerade as trustworthy entities, such as banks, government agencies, or popular online services to trick individuals into divulging sensitive personal information. This information can include bank account details, credit card numbers, Aadhaar numbers, login credentials, and passwords. The scammers then use this stolen data for financial theft, identity fraud, or to launch further attacks. The simplicity of the concept belies its devastating potential. The methods employed in phishing attacks are varied and constantly evolving. Scammers typically use emails, SMS messages, a technique known as smishing, or even voice calls, which is called vishing. These communications are carefully crafted to look authentic, often replicating the logos, branding, and tone of the impersonated organization. They might contain urgent warnings about a compromised account, tempting offers for unbelievable discounts, or notifications about pending tax refunds. The key objective is always to create a sense of urgency or curiosity, compelling the recipient to click on a malicious link or open a compromised attachment without due diligence. Once a victim clicks on a phishing link, they are usually directed to a fake website that mirrors the legitimate site almost perfectly. Unaware, they might enter their login details or other sensitive information, which is then captured directly by the scammers. Alternatively, clicking a link or opening an attachment could trigger the download of malware onto the victim's device. This malware can then silently steal information, track keystrokes, or even give the scammer remote access to the device. The sophistication of these fake websites and the malware used is constantly increasing, making them harder to detect. The pervasiveness of phishing is fueled by its low cost and high potential return for criminals. Sending out mass emails or SMS messages is relatively inexpensive, and even a small percentage of successful attempts can yield significant financial gains. Scammers often use automated tools to send out these messages on a massive scale, targeting thousands, if not millions, of potential victims simultaneously. The challenge for individuals is to remain constantly vigilant, scrutinizing every unsolicited communication and thinking twice before clicking on any link or providing personal information, no matter how convincing the message may seem. While phishing is a major concern, it's really just one facet of the broader spectrum of online fraud that's, rapidly expanding in India. Scammers are incredibly resourceful, constantly coming up with new ways to exploit both the digital landscape and human psychology. One common category involves fake e-commerce websites or fraudulent listings on genuine platforms. These sites lure customers with unbelievably low prices for popular products. Victims pay for goods that are never delivered, or sometimes they receive counterfeit or substandard items, leaving them out of pocket and, honestly, with little recourse. Another prevalent form of online fraud involves employment scams. Con artists post fake job advertisements, often promising lucrative positions with minimal qualifications or even overseas opportunities. Job seekers, desperate for employment, are then asked to pay various fees for things like registration, interviews, training materials, or visa processing. Once the money is paid, the scammers just disappear, leaving the victims not only poorer, but also with their hopes dashed. These scams are particularly cruel, as they target individuals already in vulnerable financial situations, exploiting their aspirations for a better livelihood. Investment scams also continue to proliferate, promising unusually high returns with little or no risk. These can range from cryptocurrency scams to Ponzi schemes disguised as legitimate investment opportunities. Scammers use slick presentations, fake testimonials, and high-pressure tactics to convince people to invest their savings. Initially, some early investors might even receive small payouts to create an illusion of legitimacy, encouraging further investment and attracting new victims. However, these schemes inevitably collapse, and the vast majority of investors lose everything they put in. Furthermore, technical support scams are a persistent menace. Victims receive pop-up messages or calls claiming their computer is infected with a virus or has a serious technical issue. The scammers, posing as technicians from well-known software companies, then persuade the victim to grant them remote access to their device or to pay for unnecessary software or repair services. In many cases, they may even install malware or steal personal information during the fake support session. The sheer variety of these online frauds really underscores the need for constant public education and, a healthy dose of skepticism in all online interactions. Social engineering is, honestly, the dark art of psychological manipulation, and it's a cornerstone of many successful cyber scams in India. It's, less about hacking code and more about hacking humans. Scammers who use social engineering exploit fundamental human tendencies like trust and fear, greed and curiosity, and just the desire to be helpful. They either meticulously research their targets or, sometimes, cast wide nets with messages designed to trigger these emotions, bypassing technical security measures by tricking people into willingly compromising their own security or that of their organizations. These manipulators often create a pretext, a fabricated scenario, to make their requests seem totally legitimate. For example, they might pose as a senior colleague needing urgent help with a fund transfer, a bank official warning about fraudulent activity on an account, or even a friend or relative in distress who needs immediate financial assistance. They build rapport, create a sense of urgency, or instill fear to pressure the victim into acting quickly, often without thinking critically. The effectiveness of social engineering really lies in its ability to make the victim an unwitting accomplice in the fraud. Common social engineering tactics include baiting, where scammers offer something enticing like a free movie download or a prize, which then leads to malware infection or information theft. Scareware is another tactic, involving fake virus alerts that frighten users into purchasing useless software or divulging credentials. Pretexting, as I mentioned, involves creating a believable story. Perhaps the most insidious is when scammers combine these tactics, like, let's say, sending a phishing email that uses a strong social engineering pretext to maximize its chances of success. The real challenge in combating social engineering is that it targets the weakest link in any security chain, the human user. Technology alone, no matter how advanced, just can't fully protect against a well-crafted social engineering attack if individuals aren't trained to recognize its signs. Awareness campaigns, therefore, need to focus not just on technical safeguards like strong passwords and software updates, but also on fostering a culture of healthy skepticism and critical thinking. People need to be empowered to question unsolicited requests, verify identities through separate channels, and honestly to understand that if something sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is. Let us consider a recent, though fictionalized for illustration yet entirely plausible case that highlights the devastating impact of a sophisticated phishing scam, the Secure Bank phishing debacle. Secure Bank, a well-regarded though fictional financial institution with a large customer base across India, became the target of a meticulously planned attack. Scammers initiated their campaign by sending out thousands of emails and SMS messages that appeared to originate directly from Secure Bank's official communication channels. These messages were crafted with alarming precision, using the bank's logo, branding, and even mimicking its typical communication style. The fraudulent messages informed customers of a supposed urgent security update or a suspicious transaction detected on their account. They contained a link, urging recipients to click immediately to verify their details or prevent their account from being frozen. The sense of urgency was palpable, really designed to override caution. Many unsuspecting customers, fearing for the safety of their funds, clicked on these links. This led them not to the genuine Secure Bank website, but to a remarkably convincing counterfeit portal, a mirror image of the real thing, hosted on a similarly named domain. Once on this fake website, customers were prompted to enter their username, password, and often their one-time passwords, which the scammers managed to intercept in real time or trick users into divulging through a secondary step. With these credentials in hand, the criminals gained unauthorized access to numerous bank accounts. They then swiftly siphoned off funds, transferring them through a complex network of mule accounts to make tracing difficult. The financial losses for individual customers ran into lakhs of rupees in many instances, causing immense distress and hardship. The aftermath of the Secure Bank phishing scam was chaotic. The bank's customer service lines were overwhelmed with panicked callers. The incident not only resulted in significant financial losses for its customers, but also severely damaged Secure Bank's reputation and eroded public trust in its digital security measures. Law enforcement agencies launched investigations, but the international nature of such cybercrime syndicates made arrests and recovery of funds exceedingly challenging. This case, honestly, serves as a stark reminder of the sophistication of modern phishing attacks and the critical need for both robust institutional security and heightened customer vigilance. The impact of cyber scams on individuals in India is frankly profound and multifaceted, extending far beyond immediate financial losses. Victims often experience significant emotional and psychological distress. The feeling of being tricked, of having one's trust violated, can lead to shame, embarrassment, and a reluctance to report the crime. Many suffer from anxiety, depression, and a persistent fear of using digital services again. For those who lose their life savings, the consequences can be catastrophic, affecting their ability to pay for essential needs, education, or healthcare, sometimes leading to a spiral of debt and despair. Businesses, too, are increasingly falling prey to sophisticated cyber scams, such as business email compromise or ransomware attacks. For small and medium-sized enterprises, which really form the backbone of the Indian economy, a significant cyber attack can actually be an existential threat. The financial costs include not only the stolen funds, but also the expenses related to incident response, system recovery, legal fees, and potential regulatory fines. Beyond these direct costs, businesses suffer reputational damage, loss of customer confidence, and disruption to their operations, which can take years to overcome, if at all. The escalating wave of cyber scams has a broader, more insidious impact: the erosion of trust in digital systems as a whole. The Digital India Initiative aims to transform the nation into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. However, if citizens and businesses constantly fear being scammed online, their willingness to adopt and use digital services will inevitably decline. This can slow down the pace of digital transformation, hinder economic growth, and undermine the very benefits that technology promises to deliver. A climate of fear and suspicion is honestly detrimental to fostering innovation and participation in the digital ecosystem. Restoring and maintaining this trust is therefore a critical challenge. It requires a concerted effort from the government, law enforcement agencies, financial institutions, technology companies, and individuals themselves. When people lose faith in the security of online banking, e-commerce, or digital payments, they may revert to less efficient cash-based methods or simply opt out of the digital economy where possible. This not only creates inconvenience but also limits their access to opportunities and services. The fight against cyber scams is, therefore, also a fight to preserve and strengthen the foundations of our digital future. The fight against the rising tide of cyber scams in India is not one we can afford to lose, and the most potent weapon in our arsenal is awareness, coupled with unwavering vigilance. While authorities work to enhance cyber defenses, individual responsibility plays a crucial role in foiling these digital con artists. Understanding the tactics scammers use, recognizing the red flags, and cultivating a healthy sense of skepticism are paramount. We must move from being reactive victims to proactive defenders of our own digital spaces. Every citizen needs to become a more informed digital user. Practical steps can significantly reduce one's vulnerability. Always use strong, unique passwords for different accounts and enable two-factor authentication wherever possible. Be extremely cautious about clicking on unsolicited links or downloading attachments from unknown senders. Verify any unusual requests for money or personal information through a trusted channel. Regularly update your software and antivirus programs to patch security vulnerabilities that scammers might exploit. These are not just suggestions, they are essential habits for online survival. Educating oneself and others is key. Share information about common scams with family, friends, and colleagues, especially those who may be less tech-savvy. Many resources are available from government agencies and cybersecurity organizations that offer guidance on staying safe online. Financial institutions also have a responsibility to educate their customers about emerging threats. A digitally literate populace is the first and most formidable line of defense against cyber fraudsters. Ultimately, fostering a culture of cyber awareness requires a sustained, nationwide effort. Schools should incorporate digital safety into their curricula. Companies must train their employees. Community initiatives can reach those harder to access. Remember, if an online offer seems too good to be true, it almost certainly is. If a message pressures you to act immediately, pause and think. Your vigilance can not only protect you but also contribute to a safer digital India for everyone. The power to make a difference begins with each one of us being alert and informed.